Wanted to thank everyone for coming out on short notice here. Was going to turn it over to Coach Alvarez for a brief statement, and then we'll take questions, and we have microphones on each side of the room.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Brian. Earlier this afternoon, while flying back from National Football Foundation in New York, I received a call from Coach Andersen, who made me aware that he was resigning and has accepted the head coaching job at Oregon State. I was very surprised. I really had no idea that this was in the works. We since have come back, and Gary and I have met, had a meeting with the team. He made the announcement to the team. I then visited with the team. The seniors came back and visited with me, asked me if I would coach the game. I told them I would consider it. And that's where we are. I always keep, as all of you know, I always keep a short list, and we will proceed in our search for a new head coach immediately.
Mike's on each side if you can flag them down if you have a question. Jason?
Can you say anybody who's on that short list?
No, I won't do that.
Can you talk about just, you mentioned you were surprised, but talk about how that conversation went a little bit, and
Well,
is it hard for him to leave? Or
Walter Dickey called me and said he was visiting with Gary, and Gary had something to tell me, but he wanted to tell me face-to-face. And I said, well, my plane is delayed. I don't know what time I'll be able to get out of here. And I said, let me talk to him. Let me find out what he wants to talk to me about that's so urgent. And that's how it went. Gary said he felt like this was an opportunity for he and his family to get back to that part of the country. And he felt that he had to follow through with that opportunity. That was the extent of the conversation. We visited about it again when I got back. You know, the job, he's already taken the job, so I just wanted to review with him about what was going to happen with the assistants, that I would expect them to stay with the team, coach the team through the bowl game, and I said so much with the players.
Barry, you mentioned how surprised you were by this decision. Wisconsin has been to 5 straight New Year's Day games, had so much success. What does this say anything to you about the state of the program, that Gary would be willing to leave after 2 years?
Well, I don't think you talk about the state. The state of the program is the state of the program. You already said that. We've been to 5 straight. We've got one of the most consistent programs in the country. We have some of the best facilities in the country. Gary made the decision for family matters.
Can you talk a little bit more about the reaction from the players, kind of what morale was like after they received the news?
I think you had different reactions. Your seniors have been through this before. I think they were all shocked. I think a couple of the young players were a little more emotional. The old guys, as I tried to stress to them, I told them the same thing as I told them 2 years ago, that everyone's afraid of change. But let's use it as a life lesson. Let's embrace change, because you can grow through change. And I promised them that that our program will not take a step backward, that we will replace Coach Andersen with another excellent coach and staff.
Jesse?
A couple of years ago, you hired Gary a week or two before the Rose Bowl game. Do you have a timetable in mind at this point? Would you like to have a hire before the bowl games?
Well, we have to post the job. There are certain restrictions, state restrictions, that we have to follow. I'll try to make contact with people, judge interest of people, and try to move as quickly as we possibly can through our system and the process that we have to follow. My goal would be to have somebody in place certainly before the bowl game.
Zach?
Barry, did you like the, direction the program was going under Gary? There was certainly some changes offensively, and the defense was certainly a big change from what it was before. Did you like the way the program was progressing under him?
I did. I thought Gary and his staff did a very good job. You know, nobody liked the way they played in the last game, but that happens occasionally. That's a 10-win season. I always felt like his first concern was for the players, and that's important. I really don't worry about style of play on offense or defense as long as it's sound. As long as they're sound, I can live with that. I'm not going to put parameters on people that you have to run a specific type of offense, although I do know the type of player that we can consistently recruit here, and people have to understand that when they take this job. But I never strap anybody down. We were sound in what we did.
It was only 2 years, but how would you characterize the Gary Andersen era? Did he do everything that you?
Gary did a good job. I think he came in and, you know, it's a tough situation. He took one over where the guys are going to the Rose Bowl without their head coach, and turmoil within the staff. And Gary came in, brought his staff in. I thought the players really adopted to his style and really took to him very well. I think it was a very good 2 years. And again, his main concern always in his decision-making was the best interest of the kids, and I appreciate that. And that's one of the things that I believe in. I think it's important for all of our coaches.
You mentioned Coach Anderson was a little bit concerned or happy with going back to that part of the country. When you brought him to Wisconsin, did he seem comfortable in here, or was that ever an issue that was brought up?
I thought Gary was a good fit. You know, and there was never any talk about, you know, someday I'd like to get back to that part of the country. You know, maybe when you're away for a while, that kind of settles in. I don't know that. Those are things you may want to ask him.
Just make sure you don't get too excited.
Were you okay with the way he handled it in speaking with you? I know you said you wanted to, meet in person at first, or he wanted to.
Yeah.
How this
You know,
played out.
when someone makes the decision, they make the decision. I'm a big boy. I understand this business. Just take a look around the country. People move for different reasons. That's why I'm always prepared. That's why I have a short list. I feel very confident we'll put a good coach in place. And I promise the kids that. Our program's not going to take a step backward. You know, as I told Walter Dickey earlier, that's part of our job. You know, that things always don't go smoothly. We'll go hire a good coach, get him in place, and get him started recruiting. And here we go. You know, I know one thing: I won't flinch.
Does losing Andersen right now set the program back at all?
No. We'll have someone in place so that we can pick up recruiting, so that we can hold. You probably won't hold all your recruits, but the last time when Brett left, we held most of them. I think, as I told the players, you make a decision, you make a commitment. The commitment's to the university. You got a commitment to everybody in the room, all the players in the room, and you'll have a good coach in front of you soon. So it's not going to set us back.
John?
Aside from being able to work well with players and things like that, are you looking for any specific qualities in the candidates that you're going to interview, like head coaching experience or ties to Wisconsin, anything like that?
Ties to Wisconsin is not important. I'd like to find someone that has head coaching experience. Someone that I've always said this, I think it's important that there's a fit. I thought Gary was a good fit. You know, so as I keep my short list, that's what I do. I'm around these different guys. I go to different functions where I see how people handle themselves, and I make mental notes of who I think would be a good fit for our place.
Biggest challenge right now in hiring a coach is what?
No challenge. You know, we've got a great product to sell, great community, wonderful university, world-class university, and my phone's ringing off the hook already. The word's just starting to leak out, and I'll be very busy tonight answering phone calls from agents and coaches and go-betweens, people trying to get in on this job. So I guess our biggest issue is deciding, going to the people I want to talk to first, and then taking a look at who else is interested.
Will you meet with anyone else inside the university to make the decision, or like last time, will it be just you making this decision?
Walter Dickey and myself and Bruce Van de Velde, the three of us will interview candidates.
Do you fear Wisconsin is no longer a destination job?
Well, the last two coaches have proven that. It wasn't a destination job for them, but it was for me, and it is for Bo Ryan. It's everybody's a little bit different, So I don't worry about that. We got a good job. We got a good place. We've got a consistent program. We got a lot to sell. I'm not trying to paint any other picture other than a very positive picture, because it is positive.
Some of us got in here a few seconds late. Could you just walk us through one more time how Gary broke the news to you? It sounded like he did it over the phone.
Well, Gary went to my office, and I was stuck in New York, in New York in the airport. Plane was delayed, so he visited with Walter Dickey and to find out when I'd get back. And so Walter called me and said Gary had something very important he had to talk to me about. And I said, I want to know what it is. So I got on the phone with him, and he told me. And then as we took off, I told him what time I would land, and he met me in the office.
That was this afternoon?
It was early afternoon. My original flight was 12:30, so it was probably right in that area when I was notified. I was delayed, and I didn't get back till later.
Jason?
Coach, do you think this process could have affected Gary's focus on the Big Ten championship game or the team's focus?
I have no way to know that. That shouldn't have had any effect on the kids and the coaches, the other coaches.
Jesse?
You mentioned the seniors asked you to coach the bowl game, and you said that you'll decide at a later date. Is it flattering for them to ask
It's
you?
very
and
flattering, and
also, when do you hope to decide on?
I told him I'd make up my mind tonight. I'll think about it. I told him I was very flattered that they asked me to do that, because it's about the kids, and I want them to come here and have a good experience and feel good about it. So I'll definitely consider that.
And Gary said the only reasons for leaving was family. Was there any, because he couldn't get certain players in? Was it living in Madison or anything like that?
No, he didn't say anything about that. He just talked about opportunity for he and his family. That was what he told us.
Anything else for Coach Alvarez? Oh, Zach in the back.
Have you talked to any of the assistant coaches that are still here? Have you talked to them about?
Most of them are on the road recruiting. I did talk to a couple of them that were at the meeting and told them what I expected. I expect the coordinators to continue to coordinate, and they have their practice schedule for the bowl laid out already. I asked that the coordinators continue to game plan, proceed with the practice schedule. We'll have somebody oversee, whether it be myself or one of the other coaches that I name as a interim coach, or whatever we want to call it. I just try to lay out what I expected of them, and I think they shot information out, because most of the ones on the road didn't know anything about it.
That's what I was going to ask. Were they out on the road recruiting?
Yes.
And they found out.
There were a couple. There were a couple in the office because they were going to have a light practice today. So I think they emailed the ones that are on the road to inform them.
In the back.
It was kind of a larger day for news for the team, with Melvin Gordon announcing that he'll be entering the draft. Obviously, Gary Andersen is leaving. How do you think that's going to impact, I guess, the team and their preparations for the upcoming bowl game?
They seem very anxious to practice today. I think everybody was well aware that Melvin was going to go into the draft. Gary's announcement was definitely a surprise and shocking to those kids. So young people are resilient. They'll bounce back, and I'm sure they'll play well, and they'll respond.
Phil.
As being AD, did you anticipate you have to hire a third football coach?
No, and this is going to be my last one.
Did the players know about Gary leaving before practice today, or were they told?
They didn't
after?
practice. They were in the meeting room, and then we called practice. No one knew. They did not know. His son didn't know. They were scheduled to practice.
Anything else for Coach?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.